see on Momma Cherri's stay-at-home prevention Corona Soul in the Bowl. This is what happened. Let me get to you close up. Okay, it's Momma Cherri. I'm going to actually read from cover to cover for the first birth of the restaurant. This is what you've been waiting for. Put the glasses back on. It's a kitchen nightmare. Oh, yeah.
You want to do it, do it, do it. I got the cornbread and hush puppies too. Putting it together just for you. And we're going to enjoy our soul in a bowl. You say so. Don't stick your hand.
Hello, my gorgeous peeps, and welcome back. Guess what? Guess? Come on, guess. Huh? Nah, you didn't get it. Oh, no, you got it. You're right. This is our final chapter. Yes, we have reached the end, our final chapter of my Soul in a Bowl cookbook. Oh, yes. And this is, well, if you guys know me, and a lot of you know me by now, this is one of my favorite chapters, because guess what? Even though I don't have a big sweet tooth, I love me some good old-fashioned Southern desserts. So, baking. Can you see that? We are finally at baking. So excited. So let me just dive on in there. But before I dive in, I need to acknowledge something. I want y'all to have a look at my t-shirt. Look at that. Can you see it? I am wearing my t-shirt in honor of Black Lives Matter. Yes. And it ain't about getting political. It's about getting real to my heart. This is funny because I started this series a while ago, basically as something to fill the time during this pandemic, okay? And something that I wanted to kind of give back to you, give you the cookbook for all of those that have said they've been wanting it. And it was a really good time for us to come together and unite during these times of crisis with the pandemic all over the world, COVID-19. However, just as we are coming out of lockdown, beginning to end things here, easing restrictions, what happens? George Floyd. Now, I'm not going to spend time going deep into it because you should know what. All I need to do is say that name and you should all know. The world knows what happened to George Floyd. And the mama, yes, me, I've been out protesting and speaking my voice, but the thing about it, a lot of this, it all comes back to soul food. Yeah. Remember at the beginning I was telling you about the history of it, how it goes back to the times of slavery, how it goes back to a time of storytelling. It's about revolution. It's about Black power. It's about Black empowerment, but it's just about empowering oneself with dignity. So, as the riots and the protests have all been happening this week, we are in June 2020, I come to an end. And I am going to end this series, and I am dedicating my cookbook to all of those who have fought the struggle, okay? Black, white, and in between. This goes out to all of you who are educating yourselves, who are taking on the knowledge and the power to change the world, okay? Because together we can stand, okay? Remember, it's funny, at one point I was saying how with the epidemic, they were saying you couldn't be together. So what it was together, used to be together we stand, divided we fall. Well, no, during the pandemic, it was divided we stand, together we fall. But no, we're back to being together. We must come together and unite in order to stand. All right, that's my preaching done for today. Let me get to the book. Okay. So, baking. Oh, yeah. Well, if I'm going to do baking and we're talking soul food, there ain't nothing but, there's one dessert that stands out in front of them all. And that's that. A good old-fashioned sweet potato pie. So, here we go. Let me get my glasses on. Because y'all know I can't see to read without them. Let's clean them up. Oh, mercy me. Oh, they're a little bit dirty-wordy. Let me just give them a little bit of a clean here. And see what I can do. Okay. Sweet potato pie with pecans. All right. All right, these glasses are dirty. All right, here we go. This recipe is for 2 23-centimeter pies. When making desserts, I often like to do a double portion so that I can freeze one. Sweet potato pies keep really well in the freezer. This is my mother's recipe. Everyone has their own version, but this one is particularly straightforward. If you aren't keen on nuts or allergic, just leave those out because that's just the topping, okay? So this makes 2 large pies or 24 individual ones, little tiny ones. And you're going to want 1 kilo of sweet potatoes, 300 grams of soft butter, 300 grams caster sugar, 400 milliliters can of sweetened condensed milk, that's just 1 can, 4 eggs, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of grated nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, and a handful of pecans, okay, or walnuts for the topping. For the sweet pastry, if you're making your own, you want 250 grams of plain flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of caster sugar, 130 grams of butter diced, and 4 tablespoons of cold water. To make the pie crust, to make the pastry, combine the flour, salt, sugar in a mixing bowl. Using 2 knives and a scissor action, cut the butter into the flour until it formed coarse crumbs. Add the water, a tablespoon at a time, mixing it in with the knives until the dough has formed. With floured hands, pat the dough into small ball and push down to flatten it. Cover with cling film and chill for about 30 minutes. Then divide into 2 balls and roll each one out thinly. Use one to line 2 23-centimeter tart tins. Trim the edges, then pinch them at the top to flute them. Alternatively, you could make little mini pies using muffin tins, cut into small circles of pastry and use them to line, chill, and you're ready to use. Or go to Easy Route, go out and buy you some ready-made short coast pastry, okay? Some of them already come pre-rolled. So all you got to do is lay your pan on the top, cut a circle around it, boom, done. Place the sweet potatoes in their skins in a large pot of water. Bring to the boil. Then reduce the heat and simmer until they are soft but not falling apart. A knife should pass through them quite easily. Remove from the water and gently peel off the skin. You'll find that the skin comes off very easily. Place the flesh of the sweet potato in a large bowl and then add some softened butter, sugar. Mix together with electric mixer or potato masher until smooth. Add the condensed milk, eggs, cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla, lemon juice, and mix until the mixture is lump-free and resembles a smooth mash. Fill the pastry cases 3/4 full and top with the pecans or walnuts. Place the pies in an oven preheated at 180 gas mark 4, 350 to 375. for 400. And bake for about 45 minutes to an hour until the filling is firm and golden brown. Serve either warm or cold with ice cream. Once the pies are completely cold, you can wrap them tightly and freeze them for up to 3 months, okay? Probably won't last that long because you're going to want to eat them. So here you go. Once again, our sweet potato and pecan pie. Very nice. All right, so let's move on. I'm just going to turn this light a bit more. There we go, to me. There we go. So, a pecan pie. When the French settled in New Orleans, they discovered the pecan. There quickly followed a flurry of new and exciting recipes. Pecan brittle, pecan sauce, and of course, the famous pecan pie. This version is quick and simple. You will notice that I have not pre-baked the pie crust. In America, we usually cook the whole pie from scratch. This recipe calls for American corn syrup, which is available in some shops under the brand name of Cairo syrup. Golden syrup makes a good substitute if you're in England. The trick to this pie is to roast the pecans before cooking. This can be done once the oven is hot. Simply spread the pecans out on a baking tray and place in the oven and roast for 5 to 10 minutes. Remember, you are roasting the nuts, not burning them, okay? So be careful, don't overdo it. You're going to need one quality of sweet pastry, okay? I've told you how to do that, or you can buy some ready-made pastry. You're going to want 200 milliliters of corn syrup or golden syrup, 200 grams of soft brown sugar, a quarter teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 100 grams of butter melted, 3 eggs lightly beaten, 250 grams of pecan lightly toasted, and some ice cream to serve with it. Roll out the pastry, not too thinly, and use it to line your pie pan. I like to fold the edges over to make a thick crust, chill for about an hour. In a mixing bowl, combine the syrup, brown sugar, salt, vanilla, and melted butter. Add the eggs and beat until smooth. Remove the pastry case from the fridge and carefully pour the mixture into it. Sprinkle the pecans on the top, pushing some of them under the filling with a spoon. Some will sink to the bottom while others will float on the top. Place the pie in the middle shelf of an oven preheated to 180. Gas mark 4 and bake for about 20 minutes. Take the pie out and place strips of foil over the pastry edges to protect them from burning. Be careful not to spill the filling, as it will still be a little runny. Return the pie to the oven and cook for a further 20 minutes. It's done when a knife inserted into the center comes out clean. Give it an extra 5 to 10 minutes if necessary. Remove from the oven and leave to cool. Serve with ice cream of your choice. Vanilla would go just well. Now here we've got a recipe for an orange and lemon sour cream cake. Oh God, that sounds good. I think I might have to make this. There's a few recipes in the book that I haven't even made videos for you people, so get ready. Mama's coming at you with some desserts real soon. So, an orange and lemon sour cream cake. This moist cake is good for parties. The original recipe called for just orange, but I like to add a little lemon to it to lift that flavor. Now I have nicknamed it my St. Clement's cake. You know, oranges and lemons set the bun by St. Clement. It's a song over here in the UK. So here we go. You're going to need 125 grams of butter, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of grated orange zest, 1 tablespoon of grated lemon zest, 200 grams of castor sugar, 2 eggs, 300 grams of plain flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 250 milliliters of sour cream, 50 milliliters of freshly squeezed orange juice, and 50 milliliters freshly squeezed lemon juice. For the vanilla icing, you want 340 grams of icing sugar, 60 grams of softened unsalted butter, 2 tablespoons of boiling water, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, some grated orange, and lemon zest to decorate. In a large bowl, cream the butter, salt, orange, and lemon zest together. Then gradually beat in the sugar. Add the eggs one at a time. Now, in this recipe, I said 2 eggs. Increase that to 3. We want this a little bit richer, okay? Sift the flour and baking powder together and fold them into the cream mixture, alternating with the sour cream and the orange and lemon juice. Spoon into 2... Did I say? Yeah, I did say sift the flour and baking powder together, fold them in the cream mixture, alternating with the sour cream and orange. Yeah. Spoon into 2 greased loaf tins or a square baking tin. And then you want to bake this for 20 to 30 minutes for the smaller cakes, 35 to 40 minutes if you're making a larger cake. And you want to stick a skewer into it, and if it comes out clean, it's done. Meanwhile, making the icing. Sift the icing sugar into a bowl, add the butter, and beat until pale and creamy. Slowly mix in the boiling water, stopping when you have a spreadable consistency. Stir in the vanilla extract. Turn the cake out of the tin and spread the icing over the top. Sprinkle over with the orange and lemon zest to decorate. Okay, let's move on. Oh my goodness, goodness, guys. Here is my #1 dessert. I love it. You will love it. This is my most searched for recipe on my YouTube channel. And it is Peach Cobbler. Oh, yes it is. Oh, let me get it up there. My Peach Cobbler. All right, let me take a sip of my tea, people, before it goes cold. Because you know I don't like to waste nothing. Peach Cobbler. Americans have many ways of making cobblers, depending on which state they come from. Some have a pastry base, some have a crumble topping or a scone-like topping, while others have both, pastry and a topping. My version is more of a northern one, and it is very quick to throw together. It is quite similar to an English crumble with a topping and no pastry base. I use canned peaches. You can substitute fresh peaches or any other fruit you like, but you will need to add a small amount of sugar syrup. Canned fruit works well and is much quicker. So what you're going to want 2 cans of some sliced peaches, 100 grams of soft brown sugar, 100 grams of butter, 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 tablespoons of corn flour mixed to a paste with 2 teaspoons of water, vanilla ice cream or whipped cream to serve on the top. For the topping, you want 150 grams of self-raising flour, 150 grams of caster sugar, a touch of ground cinnamon, 2 eggs, and 150 grams of softened butter. Place the canned peaches and all of their juices into a saucepan with the brown sugar, butter, cinnamon, and vanilla. Heat gently until the sugar and butter have melted, and then stir in a little bit of the corn flour paste just to thicken it a little bit. Cook over a moderate heat for 5 to 8 minutes until the mixture begins to thicken, but don't let it boil, just keep it on the gentle simmer. Meanwhile, making the topping. Mix the flour, sugar, cinnamon together in a bowl. Add the eggs and the butter and mix together with a wooden spoon, or you can do it my way, get your hands in there and just kind of crumble it all together until the mixture is soft and crumbly. It should not be too wet. Pour the fruit mixture into an oven-proof dish and drop spoonfuls of the toppings on the top. Now, the reason you're doing that is you're dropping it on the top, little dollops, because when it cooks, it resembles a cobble street. And that's where you get that name, cobbler, okay? And then you just want to cook it until it is golden brown. What I tend to do just before I put it in the oven, I take a mixture of just a little bit of caster sugar and cinnamon, mix those together, and then I sprinkle that over the top. Gives it a really nice crunchy taste when it comes out. And when you're making your cobbler, this is a recipe for peach cobbler, but you can substitute any fruit you want. One of my favorite cobblers is a blueberry cobbler. Blueberry and apple cobbler I love. But you can make a raspberry cobbler. You can make any kind of cobbler you like. There is our cobbler. Okay. Here we go. The all-American apple pie with a cranberry twist. The pastry I use here is greatly simplified version of an American flaky cream cheese pie crust. The original recipe is long and involves far too many steps. My view is if you don't want to bake a pie, you don't want to have all the No, wait a minute. My view is that you want to bake a pie. You don't want to have to wait hours for the pastry to be just right. So here we go. You want 4 large cooking apples, 3 eating apples, 115 grams of butter, 75 grams of soft brown sugar, 75 grams of caster sugar, 1 tablespoon of corn flour, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 115 grams of dried cranberries. For the cream cheese pastry, you want some plain flour, 350 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of caster sugar, 100 grams of softened butter, 125 of cream cheese, pinch of salt, 1 pinch of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 2 tablespoons of ice cold water and a little milk for brushing. Let's start with the pastry. Simply combine all of the ingredients except the milk in a bowl. Using a fork to mix well, ending with a small amount of ice cold water to bind it all together. Place the dough in a plastic bag and knead gently for about 3 minutes, but don't overwork it. Remember, it is meant to be a quick and simple. Place the bag in the fridge for about 30 minutes while you get on with the filling. This is a real easy and quick to prepare. Simply peel and core all of the apples, cut them into slices about 2 centimeters thick, keeping the cookers and eaters separate. Putting the cooking apples in a large bowl with 100 grams of butter, plus the sugar, corn flour, spices, and vanilla. Place in a microwave for about 2 minutes to soften the mixture and release the juices from the apples. Or you can do this on top of the stove. Stir in the dessert apples and the cranberries and set aside. Okay, see, remember the cooking apples, they're a little bit firmer and they're tartar. So we're softening them. And then we're going to add the eating apples, like your red delicious apples, okay? Because my pie is a mixture of the 2 apples. Remove the pastry from the fridge and divide into 2 pieces. One slightly larger than the other. Lightly roll out the larger piece on a floured work surface and use it to line your pie plate. Rolling out the remaining piece for the top. The pastry is quite soft, but if it breaks, don't worry, you can simply piece it back together. Gently spoon the apples into the lined plate and then cut up the reserved butter and dot it on the top. Then cover with the remaining pastry. Using a fork, gently press all along the edges to seal the pastry. Then prick the top of a few times to allow it to breathe. All right, you can also, roll it out and do your little lattice type thing on the top. You'll see when I show you the pictures. Place in an oven, preheat it to 190 Celsius. Gas mark 5 and bake for 30 to 35 minutes until the pastry is golden brown. The apples have already been softened, so they don't need a long time to finish cooking. I recommend placing a baking tray under the pie just in case the juices overflow. Allow to cool a little. Serve warm with ice cream, custard, or whipped cream. Or you can do like me, have all 3. Here you go. That's what my apple pie looks like. Apple and cranberry pie. Alright, I'm just going to take a quick break because y'all can hear me snorting here. I need to blow my nose, so I'll be right back. Key lime pie. Key lime pie originated in Florida Keys in the 1800s, when fresh ingredients other than local limes were hard to find. Key limes are also referred to as Mexican limes. They are small with a thin greenish yellow skin and hold a lot of juice. I have found them in markets in the UK, but any limes will do. Okay, so don't go looking around saying, I need a key lime or I can't make a key lime pie. That's just the name of it, okay? But you can make it with your local limes. With my recipe, I use ginger biscuits for the base, which is an ideal combination with the lime. It was given to me by one of my regular customers, who we often refer to as Key Lime Kelly. From the start to finish, the pie takes about 20 minutes. So here is the great dish for you to make if you're in a hurry, and it's delicious. You want 250 grams of ginger nut biscuits, or just your ginger biscuits, 125 grams of melted butter, 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, 2 eggs. 1 egg per can. So let's up this to two tins. Okay, come on, make a nice big pie. 125 milliliters of freshly squeezed lime juice, juice of 1 lemon, grated zest of 2 limes, some ice cream, and some slices of lime to garnish. Good. Hold on. There we go. Something stuck in my throat, people. Let's have some water. Okay, so for my pie, crush the biscuits or cookies by putting them into a plastic bag and pounding them with a rolling pin until powdery. Transfer them into a bowl and then add some melted butter. Stir well and then place them into the base of your pie tin. Put the condensed milk and the eggs, so 1 egg per tin. This recipe is so easy. That's all you got to remember. For every tin of milk you use, 1 egg. Okay? And I always say, and 1.5 to 2 limes per tin, minimum. Okay? Then, in a bowl, stir with a fork, gradually adding the lime and lemon juice. The mixture begins to thicken. Add half of the lime zest and pour the mixture on top of the ginger nut crust. Sprinkle the remaining zest on top. Place it in the oven, a hot oven, and you cook for a maximum of 10 minutes. And I'm telling you, no longer. If it's a small pie, 5 minutes. We are only putting it into the oven because we are putting the raw egg. So it's just to kill off that bacteria or whatever in the egg and help it set. It is not to cook the pie, okay? 5 to 10 minutes only. All right? It is meant to be a custard-like. It is not a baked cheesecake, although it does look and taste a bit like one. Once cool, place in the fridge where it will continue to set, and then you're going to serve it with some ice cream or cream. And here is a picture of our key lime pie. Doesn't that look delicious? Yummy, yummy, yummy. So, here we go. Some quick ones. I don't know why I've got such a tickly throat today. Soft chocolate chip cookies. Soft chocolate chip cookies. Every child and grown-up I know love cookies, and chocolate chip cookies are always a winner. Here's a quick recipe that children will enjoy making and, more importantly, eating. What you want is 250 grams of softened butter, 120 grams of caster sugar, 240 soft brown sugar, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 300 grams of plain flour, 220 of rolled oats, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 100 grams of cocoa powder, and 350 grams of chocolate chips. In a large bowl, using a hand mixer, cream together the butter and the sugar until light and fluffy. Gradually beat in the eggs and vanilla. Combine the flour, oats, baking powder, salt, cocoa powder in a separate bowl. Then add them to the cream mixture and mix well and stir in the chocolate chips. Shape the mixture into 36 small balls and place them 500 centimeters apart on ungreased baking trays, pressing each ball down with the back of a fork. Bake in an oven for about 10 to 12 minutes until lightly brown, and then eat. Delicious. Okay, I've just finished those delicious cookie recipe, but you know what? This video is getting a little bit long, and I don't want nobody missing out on nothing. You hear me? Nothing. So I'm going to stop right now and end part 1 of our part 9 desserts, okay? So, take care, a little bit of peace, whole lot of love and soul, okay? So, stay in there, stick with me. I'll see you for part 2 next week, okay? See you soon. Bye.
And it ain't hot water. I got cook's fingers. I'm used to this kind of stuff, okay? Use a spoon. It's gonna be like rubber, all right? And you don't want rubber in your dish. It's summer and fried, sweet, sweet potato and the savory kind. Talking about my cornbread and hush puppy in the bowl.